Welcome to the GrowthPro Edge. We're here to help scale your business, build stronger teams, and sharpen your leadership skills. Welcome to this week's episode of the GrowthPro Edge. I'm your host, Denise Killian with the GrowthPro Group and Trainertainment. And today we're going to be celebrating the FEC of the year, Star Lanes Polaris, with one of its owners, Doug Mechling, along with two of the tech partners who have helped Star Lanes Polaris become their success. And that's Sara Paz with Embed and Sarah Malott with QubicaAMF. So let's get started and learn how those partnerships are a vital part of the path to success. Well, welcome everyone to this week's GrowthPro Edge. Very excited to have Doug Mechling, who is the head of the FEC of the year, Star Lanes Polaris. Thank you, Doug, for being here.
You're welcome. I'll correct you. It's Mechling. But
See, I did it. We had the whole conversation, and see how I did it?
the only reason I said it was because we talked about it before we got on the air, right?
I mean, this is my problem, right? This is why I asked. Okay, so Doug, we'll start off with you. We also have Sara Paz with Embed, and we have Sarah Malott with Cubica. And we're going to talk about first you and what you've done at Star Lanes Polaris. So start us off with a little bit about Star Lanes Polaris.
Yeah, so we are a 35,000 square foot bowling anchored family entertainment center that is situated on the northern end of Columbus, Ohio. And we have 20 lanes of bowling, about a 65-piece arcade. We have an XD theater, an Omni arena, a virtual reality arena. We have 3 bays of augmented reality darts by 501, full bar and restaurant. We're in somewhat of an affluent suburb of the city. A lot of corporate traffic that comes through, a lot of families that come through our venue. And so, we've been open since 2013. It's a family business. My brother, my father, and myself are the owners, and we've had a lot of fun with Star Lanes. We have a great staff. I believe we have a great product. Very proud of what we have there.
Well, congratulations on being the FEC of the year, because that's
Thank you.
kind of a big deal.
We are a big deal. What can I say?
I love it. I love it. So
That's
let me
right.
ask you, right? Let me ask you, in the last 3 to 5 years,
Yeah.
what do you think are some of the decisions that you guys have made at Star Lanes to sort of position yourself to be named the FEC of the year?
I think there's a bit of a maturing that happens, as you become, more tenured in operations, right? And so we've always had this idea. The concept for us that's most important is that the people that come through the door that are gonna, that we're lucky enough they want to come through and give us their money, that we owe it to them, that we're going to give them a good product, and whatever that is. If it's a corporate event, that their team has a great time. If it's a family out, they feel like that they got value for their dollar. If they're, out for entertainment and food, that's our job, right? And so there's a lot that goes into that, and so it's very important for us. We've always looked at, if you want to call it innovation, you want to call it, continued growth. But for us, it's just kind of evolving and making sure that our venue's clean, we're giving good hospitality, we're controlling the things that are within the 4 walls that we can control. But there's a lot that goes into that, and in terms of kind of figuring out, in the game room, for instance, what games are we gonna take out? What are we gonna bring in? What updates are we gonna do inside the venue? If it's furniture, if it's software updates, if it's hardware updates. And so, we've always had that kind of just as a basic, belief as we've operated through these 13 years. And so I wouldn't say there's anything necessarily different we did 5 years ago. We're coming out of COVID, and those, times, we were still at that time trying to just get as many people through the doors and give them the best experience that we could, just like we always do. But we never really lost sight of reinvesting in the business. And so it's always been important to us to reinvest and make sure that, what we have out there. And I think that, both the Saras were in our venue recently for FEC Connect. And if you walked in there and you thought that it was a 13-year-old venue, then we haven't been doing a good job. And I hope that they would both say that they felt like, our venue being 13 years old, that it still looks as good and would put it up with anybody else that's out there opening up today. So that's always been our goal. And so these two partners that we have here from Embed and from Cubica, they're critical partners to us, and they're a lot, a big part of that. On the Embed side, we have continued to we've reinvested in hardware. We changed all of our hardware out several years ago, kind of position ourselves to be able to continue to move forward. On the Cubica side, oh my gosh, this year we are having the biggest investment as a one-off that we've ever had in installing NV and the Neoverse wall in our venue. And so that the upgrades to our point of sale with Square, and then how these the two organizations that these two women represent come together on the technology side, it's just it's huge, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, we ask our team in the venue to focus on the guests, right, and that experience, but all this stuff runs in the background. And so you have to, my brother, who's my partner, and I are, we're continually trying to move that forward. So it's not just like a singular thing. It's everything, just dragging it along as we go, right? And that's, I think, how we kind of got to where we were, and we're going to continue that way.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You should be focusing on the guests, right? And your job as an operator is to make sure that the guests coming in have this great experience. But there's a whole lot of behind the scenes stuff that can either help you focus on that or completely prevent you from focusing on it.
Yeah.
So when you're making decisions on these partners, because no one stands alone, right? We all need partnerships, and certainly tech partners.
Yeah.
How did you guys make the decision about which tech partners you would go with?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, we relied a lot on outside sources. When we opened as an Embed and QubicaAMF venue. And so we were relying on others that were out there that had good experiences with both of those organizations. And we did that. And ultimately, it's paid dividends for us. And so I think for us, we've had good relationships with them. They've been responsive. No relationship's perfect. We're not perfect as an operator of guests that come in. I mean, but it's how you, if something is not right, how do you respond to it, right? And so both of these organizations have been solid throughout the time that we've been open. So what are we going to go somewhere else for and try something else, right? We haven't, nobody's dropped the ball to the point that it's been a great relationship for us. So let's continue it and keep it moving forward. What I love about both of these organizations is they're both innovators. They both want to move it. They both want to, the same way that we want to innovate, they want their products to be better. And it's evident. They're out there, they're showing what the innovation of those products are. The Square and Conquer and Square and Embed integrations, that's a good example, of how, for us as an operator, when you talk about things that are disjointed on the technology side, I think everybody that's out there that's been an operator from 10 years ago on could say, hey, listen, we've got a point of sale, we've got this attraction, we've got this attraction, but these things don't talk. And there's people that are out there trying to figure out, well, these two have actually figured out how to make it, like their organizations have figured out how to make it happen, right? And so it's, you put your money where your mouth is. And when you see that as from an operator perspective, we're closer now than we've ever been to having a true reward and loyalty program that we can take across all of our revenue streams and put that together and have it be cohesive, where I'm not having to take, one piece and add it to another piece and add it to another piece. And so that, I think, for us, when we look at these two, as partners in a nutshell, are we going to continue to go down the road with them? Absolutely. We've made that clear in how we positioned ourselves. So I don't see it any other way.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So I want to talk a little bit about that working together part, right? Because
Mhm.
so many times we've got 50,000 different options that kind of do the same stuff, that maybe they don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right. So Sarah, I want to ask you with Embed.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
with your tech stack, you guys do a lot of collaboration with other companies to help make sure everything works together.
That's right. And so, even before I get started down that path, what I do want to say is the one thing that I love about what we're doing right here that feels so good and so magical is the fact that this is our industry at its best, right? In which you have four different entities, four different companies that are experts in their own specific sector and domain who come together as a meeting of the minds, if you will, to talk about what works and what's magical and what's incredible. And that's certainly how I feel about Sara at Cubica, as she knows from the minute I met her. And the same thing goes for Doug. And what's fascinating, because he made reference to how long he's been working with us, which is basically since they opened. And he had an opportunity when he was doing a renewal, okay, to say, no, I'm going to go with another system, right? But he didn't. Instead, he continued innovating. And this is something that I really like about the Doug Mechlings of the world, if you will. And that is that they don't set it and forget it. They continue to innovate. They continue to learn. They have a growth mindset. And the same thing goes for Cubica. This is actually something that that we were attracted to from the embed perspective. And that is that with Cubica, they're like, hey, we continue innovating as well, right? We're trailblazers in our area. And what's wonderful is that they make it easy to work with them. What does that mean? It's an API. It's a simple, let me just demystify an API in terms of integration. And that is, imagine a power cord and a wall power socket. Does one plug in with the other? And does it talk and does it work? That is integration at its best. But the reality is that many companies, especially in our industry, do not have APIs. They're not easy to integrate. And so what ends up happening is companies like myself, and I know companies also like Cubica, is that you have a lot of players that are saying, hey, how do we integrate with your system? And at the end of the day, it's a resource situation in which you're looking at your dev team and you're saying, am I going to take my dev team and work on integrations or continuing to innovate? Or how do I split the manpower in such a way? And then how do I set priorities? And the priorities are always set by critical mass, right? Square was a no-brainer. And it was last August. And Doug, you can, set me straight here if my recall is off. But he spoke with Renee, our CEO, about Square, and he was saying, listen, we need an integration. And usually for Renee, our CEO, like her knee-jerk reaction generally is a no. Unless it's a Cubica of the world, unless it's big players. Big players mean critical mass, which means we have an overlap of customers. Like Sara and I have an overlap of a customer in Doug, right? And so that integration is a no-brainer. But for her at the moment, she was like, well, we're going to have to evaluate Square. And I remember Doug kind of looked at us and he was like, it's a no-brainer. And it took a couple of months and they were like, oh my God, it's a no-brainer. Doug is right. Look at how many customers they have that are embed customers. We need that integration. We prioritized it on the roadmap and we made it happen. And, making it happen was really a feel good for us when Doug came back and he was like, yes, you guys actually listened to me and you did this integration. It doesn't always work that way, but I'm happy to say that it worked in this case.
Yeah, no, that's
I
fantastic.
want to echo what Sara said about Doug. Doug is tough. Like he is, and I mean that in all of the good ways, Doug, because you do it right. Like I remember, like you had great opportunities because every time you innovate and you grow, you do the research. And it's so funny because we run into customers all the time and they're either so price focused or not relationship focused. And that makes it difficult. It makes it difficult on the sales standpoint because Cubic is a relation-based company, right? We sell what we believe in. We want to work with customers and vendor partners that are like-minded. And even though Doug may seem tough, he does all the right things. He is constantly researching. He's constantly holding vendors accountable. And before he makes a decision, and I know the Neoverse Invest NV was a big decision, as he said it was the largest capital purchase he's made probably in the past 10 years. Those are those customers, the customers that take the time, they'll find the right partners. We pray it's in us. Sometimes it's not. It can't be a great fit for everyone, but I want to just encourage whoever is listening to this to do the research, take the time, be tough, do all the things before you invest in a partner to make sure that that partner is a good fit for you because it's super important.
And
That's right.
to that point, Sarah, I just want to ask you, because you're right. A lot of times it's the bottom line. And because people might be scared of the technology or not fully understand it, not quite get all the great things that it can do to help them, or okay, maybe, but can we use it? So they kind of look at, well, what's the cheapest? Right? Which might not be the best approach. Just anybody out there listening, that's, not always the best approach. But I want to ask, what are the things that people should ask when they're considering a partnership with a tech company?
Right. Well, I think Sarah actually, I don't know which Sarah you were talking about, but what I will say is that Sarah has the best quote. And I don't mean this Sarah. I'm not speaking in the third person. I'm talking about Sarah. Sarah said to me, if you buy on price, you're going to pay twice. I mean, you mentioned that to me once and I wrote it down and I thought, oh, because it'll cost you if you buy on price. It'll cost you if you don't ask questions like, hey, who are the rest of your customers? Who has developed your tech? Do you own your IP? Right? And if you have a data center, am I going to recognize the name of your data center? Everybody recognizes Amazon Web Services. Everybody recognizes Google and Apple. They know it's enterprise level software. And what I usually like to tell people who, let's say, are unfamiliar with Embed is that, listen, we work with the best of the best because our customers like Doug, are the best of the best. Right? And the best of the best, to Sarah's point, they are demanding. There's no question about it. They need reliability. They need scalability. They need enterprise level innovation. And they need to know that you're going to help take them to the next level, right? Because I know Embed is not a low cost leader. And we would never go out there and be like, oh, we're going to be the cheap. No, we're going to be the most reliable, the most innovative, the most trailblazing, just like Cubica. And for me, I was blown away, Sarah, when you were sitting on that panel at Amusement 360 and you're like, hey, because you had an audience full of people that were thinking about, setting up their venues. And I love that you were able to come in and just say, bowling 101. Let me demystify some of the misconceived notions that people have about bowling, that it's hard to maintain, that it's costly to maintain, that your ROI per square foot isn't going to be, as good as an arcade, that the bowling balls, and then she whips out these little balls and then they started discussion about ball size, which was hilarious. So anyway, I just think that, you want to have partners who are, at the forefront of trailblazing technology.
So, yeah, right. Absolutely. So, with Cubica, for example, what are those kinds of questions that you would really love people to ask before they bring into a tech company and you for a partnership?
So Cubica is really unique because we manufacture all of our products in the United States outside of our software, which is manufactured at our headquarters in Bologna, Italy. And so nothing that we sell is brown box in, brown box out. So we don't just drop off a quote. We don't just say you need this because you might not need it. It might not be a good fit for you. And when I said Doug was tough, it's because I will never forget the first time I talked to him about the Neoverse video wall. We were in Texas, and he had a lot of questions, some of which I didn't have the answer for. And I said, we're going to find someone on our team that does. And we do. We have an entire team of hundreds of people that will watch us and be like, Sarah, you sit through training, you know this, but I can't know everything. And we have a great tech department. And so I will say that questions to be asked are, if I have a heavy food and beverage, how will your system handle it? What does your scoring look like? How often do you update your scoring? For our Neoverse video wall, we pride ourselves in the amount of content that we create each year, and we make a promise to create X amount of content each year. If you are looking to either invest in your current facility or build a facility, don't be afraid to ask a question, because there is no question that is right or wrong or stupid, because everything that we put in front of you is going to be an option, not necessarily for you. So we have to get to know you. You have to get to know us. And I encourage people to do that with every partner, because everyone is different. But what makes us special is we will customize a package to you. We have 2 different levels of scoring. One might not be a good fit for you. So I just recommend that you get to know your vendors, whoever you are looking at, and make sure that you're having these conversations Because if you don't ask, you won't know. And I hope that you will recognize the vendors also asking you questions, because they need to know as much about your business as you need to know about theirs, so they can recommend good products for you.
No, that's
And,
right.
and I think, if I just add on to what Sarah was saying, and I think before you started recording, I was actually mentioning this, that I was already so impressed with, how long Sarah has been in the industry and the QubicaAMF team, et cetera. Like she said, things are not brown boxed. They're not OEM'd. They're built here in the United States. And at least what fascinated me was when I saw someone that we were both speaking to who is a future customer of both of ours, I think. And when Sarah said to her, "Let's see the CAD drawing." Because the woman's like, "Yeah, we broke the ground, but we haven't finalized the venue." She's like, "Well, let's see the CAD drawing." And she whips open her CAD drawing, okay? And Sarah's kind of advising her of what to place where, and, watch out for if you put certain things in certain places because of the manpower required, et cetera. And I thought to myself, wow, that is such an amazing way to just layer value. And to say, and it was beyond technology. And the same thing goes for Doug. When Doug talks about some of his winning tactics and combinations and how he layers values for customers, what I found is that he's not looking for a silver bullet. He will maximize even the smallest of opportunities. Like if I'm not mistaken, Doug, it was the children that are homeschooled, right? And having certain brackets of time in which you have offers for those students and those kids who are at home being homeschooled, that they can come and take a break in his venue during time periods that would normally be low revenue. To me, that is a stroke of genius. It is a simple solution to an extraordinary problem.
Yeah. I think that, thank you for that. I think from that question, maybe to the owner operator side, if you will, there's a few things in there that I think are important. I remember clearly Sara Paz, the conversation I had with Renee in Dallas last year when we talked about the integration with Square and Embed. And I think that, people that are out there, like, I'm not your biggest customer. I know that. I'm neither one of your biggest customer. And but what I'll say about that being a single location venue at this point is that I'm not treated like I'm, like Renee could have been like, "Oh yeah, that's nice. That's a good thought." But no, it was actually taken seriously, and it was seen through to fruition. And so I think with both of these organizations, a piece that it's very important for us on the operator side that we're not viewed as and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but that we sit up atop of our entertainment peers that are big chains. And in my backyard, I have Top Golf, I have Putt Shack, I have Dave and Buster's, I have Slick City, I have Activate, I have all of these chains that are all around us. And so for us as a one-off to be able to present ourselves technology wise, we're on the cutting edge. People have better technology than us. They just don't. And we have that ability because of our vendor partners and back to you guys. And so when you look at pricing, you say, okay, could I save on this? Could I save on that? Sure. There's certain things you can save on, and there's certain things that you cannot save on. And I think that when you have downtime is like death in you cannot have things that don't work, that don't operate. If I go through our game room and I see a red swiper, why is the swiper red? If I go through and I see the pin decks don't have the lights lit up on them and it's a Saturday night, why do we not have the pin deck? Like why are we down? What's going on? And so you minimize the downtime, you maximize the revenue, right? That's the key. And so those are the behind the scenes things. You don't want your customers to have to see that all that goes into that, but we work on that. You try to keep revenue flowing. So I think it's a value proposition, whatever you want to call it. You pay for what you get.
And I think that's an important point I want to delve into just a little bit here is, we think as operators, often you're thinking, oh, well, I put on fresh paint. We got new countertops at our, at our bar or whatever, the optics of the visuals, and sometimes ignore updating the tech and keeping current with the tech and being more innovative with the tech. And that's a dangerous cost to your
Customers
business.
are savvy. Customers are savvy. They know what's going on. They know
That's
when
right.
they walk through the door, whether yeah, they know that. And again, in this competitive environment that we're in, you've got to stay on top of it.
So I want to ask a question to the general and to the team, and I know each of you are going to have really insightful things to say here. So, the industry is evolving fast. Tech is evolving so incredibly quickly.
Mhm.
Um, how do you stay curious and how do you continue learning and growing?
With regard to tech specifically,
Both with both with the business and with tech. Yeah.
I mean, for us, I know that this again, the things I told you at the beginning that are important to us, the the customer experience being paramount to everything else. Um, we never think we've gotten there. There's never been a point, and I don't ever see us having a point where we're like, there's high fives along the way. We did great for this event. We did great for this group. We did great for this implementation, whatever it is. But then it's kind of on to the next thing, right? It's like you win that, but then you gotta, okay, well, we gotta go win the next one too. So again, it's not like one singular thing. It's just continuous growth and innovation and improvement. And on the technology side for us, and I think this is probably more relevant for both of the Sarahs, but you know, if we're not, I'll take Square as an example. We had a legacy micros point of sale system. Nothing wrong with it necessarily, but let's make it easier for the guests, right? What are people used to when they come and they transact in places like ours or restaurants now versus bringing out a credit card slip and signing that, so it's little things like that, I think, on the technology side that are going to continue to evolve. I mean, I don't know. Sarah, as you tell me, is there anything we don't have, like that we have that could be better technology right now? I don't think there is. I think we
No,
got the latest and greatest, right? So,
that's right.
um, yeah.
But
Um,
I love the focus of what's the customer's experience?
yeah,
And that's what's spotting the innovation for you of what you're looking for in technology is what's going to make that smoother and easier, right?
yeah. More
And
interact.
I think
Yeah,
yeah, and I think that's always the lens of the FEC business owner is what is, what's the experience economy Pine and Gilmore, right? Meaning just immersion to gameplay and removing any friction or obstacles is what's most important. And so of course they're always going to have their eye on that, right? The lens, if you will, is how they'll view their business that way as the customer experience. Now, from a tech development perspective, you can't be in tech and not have a growth mindset, right? There's no way. Okay. And so the challenge for us right now is, and this won't be new to you, Denise, because you've heard it already before, is very much about AI, right? And how do we use AI to put a layer of AI on our existing products, just like everybody else? Everybody, by the way, everybody on this phone call, whether you know it or not, you're already using AI. So let me just demystify that, right? But in terms of our technology and what we have, like how do we put that one layer of AI that will add a layer of automation and hence productivity for the operator? Okay. And again, it's just removing friction and adding productivity in its place via automation. And in order to do that, you have to be willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? You have to be able to manage the paradoxes of any given situation and know that two things can be true at once and then making a decision about what you choose to believe, right? And so that's basically the philosophy that I have at the moment in which I'm trying to keep that intellectual dexterity, the ability to be able to pivot on ideas that we have, because there's a lot going on with AI and it's really easy to go down a rabbit hole and get stuck there. And so as a company on the whole, there isn't a single individual. I mean, literally my copywriter, my creative designer, our developers, everybody is looking at AI and how do we use it to maximize tenfold per individual the productivity of each person. So that's basically where we're at in terms of innovation and having a growth mindset. And that's the approach that we're having, is just learning, unlearning, and relearning.
Great. Great.
So it's funny, I'm going to date myself, but Cubica, when we announced our new scoring, we came out with a product called Cubica Intelligence. And the best thing I can relate it to is like a choose your own adventure. And Doug, I'm sure you've experienced this when you go to your touch screen and you decide where you're going to go on this journey through bowling, right? Like the majority of our customers aren't just walking up and bowling anymore. They are actually experiencing and playing other games. They are deciding what they do based on options Cubica is giving them through the scoring. And this was like, freak me out. What are we doing? It looks like a childhood book to me of choose your own adventure. But I will tell you, I think a lot of our customers feel that way. A lot of our customers are probably in my age demographic where AI is very overwhelming. New technology can be very overwhelming. What I would love to do is recommend to everyone, one, if you're overwhelmed, make sure your bathrooms are clean. If you are a bowling center and you are out there, like if you have clean bathrooms, like you are winning the game already, right? Like every time I go into Doug's facility, the bathrooms are clean. And even if it's a small victory, they are clean. And that makes a difference because I will go back because he had a clean restroom, right? Like it's no different than a Buc-ee's gas station. You know, the bathrooms are clean. It's okay to stop. But
That's right.
outside of that, don't be overwhelmed. There are so many resources, tools, podcasts, vendor partners that want to teach you. There are opportunities to learn. And it can be scary, but know that there are all these resources out there. We do events all year long, which I know Sarah and I are probably tired of doing at some point. So ignore us if we look tired, because we go to education event after event after event, because there is so many new developments in either scoring technology, whether it be card readers or integrations or point of sale. And just stay immersed, learn, take advantages of all those opportunities. So many of them are free. There's some sort of learning podcast or seminar or webinar daily in our industry. Like it's flooded with information. So don't get overwhelmed. And if you need help, call any one of us. The thing I love most about our industry is Doug would gladly take a call from a competitor and guide them without a doubt. I've never seen one of our customers turn away someone that had questions about products, their business, the industry in general, and use those resources. If you are out there and you are overwhelmed, use the resources because we all want to help you. And it's a lot. Never quit learning because
And Sarah,
so
sorry to interrupt you, but wouldn't you just agree, because I just saw the sparks right now of magic. Wouldn't you just agree that that is what makes our industry so extraordinary? Okay, and I want to just pull in for entertainment to that because and Growth Pro Group, because Denise, that your group, it's small but mighty. It's literally a brain trust, right? And and obviously you have this growth mindset, and you're constantly keeping pace of the pulse of the industry, and you're bringing people together like us, Cubica, Embed, Star Lanes Polaris, to talk about the goodness of what you have here in these partnerships and these friendships inside and outside of the industry, and the magic that happens when all of us collaborate and we work together. I've been in some industries before, in different tech sectors, as you guys know, and it's not common to have people say, hey, I'll knowledge transfer you. Absolutely. Let's cross-pollinate ideas. Yeah, that's a good idea. You just don't see that. And so that's, I think, the magic of this industry and the magic of the Sarahs, the Dougs, and the Denises of the world.
It's a lovely thing. And I think, for me, I always encourage people to ask, what are you doing and why? Why are you doing it this way? Why are you taking orders this way? Why is your POS this way? Why is your scoring this way? And with fresh eyes, and ask why. And is there a better way to do it? Is there an easier way to do it? Is there a way that's better for the customer, easier for our employees who are also doing 7 other things at the same time? When we talk about that innovation. And Collaborate with your vendors, right? If you're not working with a partner who is willing to have those conversations with you and find those answers, or at least try, then you're working with the wrong partners, right?
Yeah.
Very true.
Oh, well, guys, listen, we are at the end of our time, but I am so grateful to each of you for this great conversation. Doug, congratulations once again on FEC of the Year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Woo-hoo! Sarah with Embed and Sarah with Cubica, two fabulous companies that I enjoy working with so much. I work with so many clients that work with both of you, sometimes independently, sometimes together. And again, that collaboration is just really, really important. So thank you guys for this. And we're all going to be at Bull Expo here in a couple weeks, right?
That's right. Yes. Yes.
I'll be there.
So if you got questions, come see us in Nashville. I think we're all going to be there and looking forward to that. Always enjoy seeing everybody there. But thank
That's
you
right.
guys so much for your time today.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and yeah, absolutely. And thank you. And also thank you to Cubica because they joined forces with Embed to put out a bunch of ads. And Doug, you're going to see it in the magazines that are coming out in June and July, basically congratulating you on being FEC of the Year. So
Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. Wonderful.
It's like we said before, it's kind of a big deal. So congratulations.
We are a big deal. What can I say?
Look at Doug. He's blushing. I love it.
Well, we hope today's conversation has given you some practical tools to help you sharpen your edge and accelerate your growth. If you're ready to grow your team, your business, or yourself, contact us at thegrowthprogroup.com and set up a free growth call with one of our coaches. Once again, a special thanks to our sponsors, Embed, Party Center Software, A&A Global, Betson, Simnox, Schaefer, and Roller, for all that they do to help us bring you the GrowthPro Edge. And until next time, I'm Denise Killian with the GrowthPro Group. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.